A bump in the night, mysterious frights, smells that disturb, visuals impaired. Welcome to another episode of Cryptid Chronicles. I'm your host, Sadhu Da, as we begin to dive and explore into horrors unseen but foretold. Join me if you dare. Nats. Nats are most commonly worshipped within Burmese folk traditions. But what exactly are they? Nats are part of a group collectively called the 37. These are human spirits that died horrible and violent deaths. Similar to a Samprakun, they bring prosperity and protection when properly treated, and if offended, they will wreak havoc and chaos. In Thai culture, there's a similar being known as the Pi. They differ in ways, but have many things in common. Nats will guard and protect, but also show signs of being mischievous or vengeful. And some have shown their power by possessing people and forcing them to do their bidding. These types of nats require offerings to keep them sweet, such as coconuts that are hung with candies and fruit, or gifts made to placate the spirits. Nat worship originated in the indigenous tribes of Burma, or as we call Myanmar, before Theravada Buddhism was introduced in the 3rd century. Theravada didn't fully catch on until the 11th century. At that point, King Anawata came into power and tried to ban Nat worship. It wasn't seen as a formal religion, it was more of a custom of animism with varying kinds of beliefs and traditions that spanned across the multiple regions of Burma. King Anawata ordered the destruction of all Nat shrines and statues, but people worshipped them in secrecy by replacing the family statues with coconuts. Some Nats are of likeness to gods in Hindu mythology, while most are the ghosts of historical figures, both past and present. The majority agree that they are simply the vengeful spirits of people who died particularly bloody and violent deaths, like I mentioned before. King Anawata is the one who set about molding Nat worship into a shape that fit his beliefs and brought structure to the practice as a whole. This meant the formalization of all existing Nats into a pantheon of 37. This included him placing a figurehead above all, whom he renamed Takyamin. This figurehead became the king of all Nats, incorporating elements of Indra from Hindu traditions and the Buddhist deva called Sakra. A couple of the most feared Nats include Uktazun, who lures men in the same fashion as a siren calling out to sailors at sea. She takes them hostage for a time, fully controlling their mind and body so that she can roam free on the earth, doing her business within their bodies. There's also stories of the Nats known as Min Mahagiri and Nam Nagawai. These two will hide in trees and devour anyone foolish enough to come near them. They are said to dissolve the spirit and bones like a vat of acid. Nothing remains to be found. There is a specific type of Nats that are held in the highest regard. These are known as the hereditary Nats. Annual tribes are part of an inherited obligation to hereditary Nats of a village. These beings protected their community from wild animals, bandits, and illnesses. The shrine is attached to a tree or pole that is always affixed towards the front of the village. Most households will hang a coconut from the southeast pillar of their home in honor of Min Mahagar, who is the dedicated house Nat. This is quite similar to the brownie of Scottish and English folklore, and the practices of appeasing them for a mutually beneficial arrangement. The most important pilgrimage site is Mount Boba, an extinct volcano located near Bagan that is littered with relics and temples. Among the many festivals held every year in honor of the Nats, one of the most popular is that of the festival which honors the Thongbyon brothers. They were a prominent and rather rowdy pair of Nats that stirred up plenty of trouble while alive and were executed in the late 11th century. Thongbyon, which is north of Mandalay, is another major site with a notorious festival held each year. The site is named from the Thongbyon brothers. Yadandago, a festival in Amarapura, is held in equal regards with the festival dedicated to the Thongbyon brothers. Yadanao is in honor of Popa Madao, mother of Popa, who was the actual mother of Thongbyon Min Ningyang, brother lords. During many of these Nat festivals, it is common practice for a Nat Kadao, medium or shaman, to dance and enter trance states where they mimic motions of a gnat. Music is played by a Hseng Wang orchestra, which adds to extending the trance to encompass the participants and not just the Nat Kadao. The people attending the festival partake in palm wine while dancing feverishly in fits of ecstasy, possessed by the Nats. The Nat Kadao will oversee everything, make sure the Nats have their fun, but also ensure the people are safe while possessed by the Nats. This is similar to Peo Meombe in African religion. Historically, the profession of a Nat Kadao was passed down from a mother to a daughter. In the 1980s is when men started to become Nat Kadaos. Since the 1980s, any person who identified as trans women, gay males, transvestites were held within a higher esteem due to holding a duality in spiritual planes over both sexes. Nats have human characteristics, wants, and needs. They are very similar to the hungry ghost of Chinese Buddhism. The Nat is flawed and has carnal desires that are both derogatory and immoral in mainstream Buddhism. It is during a festival that these lower needs are met by the community so that the Nat may enjoy a higher purpose and do moral merits, because it has satiated its lower urges for a time.